Hello, I'm Darren again. Today's questions are around narcissists as they grow older. Questions include, how do they adjust to growing older? Do they change? And if so, do they change for the better or do they just get worse? Other questions include what happens to those around them, their friends, families, partners, ex-partners, even their children. What do they experience as the narcissist ages? Not necessarily easy questions to answer, as I believe there will always be exceptions, and I will look at those exceptions towards the end of the video. But for today, I'm just going to look at some of the common things that narcissistic people experience as they grow older, and how they might react to them. So if you find this video interesting, if you like it, please consider subscribing to my channel. So just to remind you, narcissism is often characterized by a long-term, pervasive sense of entitlement. There's being self-absorbed and disagreeable. They can be highly sensitive, highly resistant to criticism, and there is a lack of empathy for others. They can also be quite manipulative, like to be in control and like to dominate. Well, first of all, if they didn't make any real connections with people when they were younger, connections of any depth, any friendships or relationships they may have had may have just ended. Those people may have just moved on. Some may have even abandoned them for their own safety, for their own good. So just like everyone else, they can experience loneliness. They can get quite depressed. But there is still a need for attention, for validation, for affirmation, and may use whatever qualities they have or whatever wealth or resources they may have accumulated during the years, just to reel others into their lives or to try to reel others back into their lives. Now, around middle age, many narcissistic people can experience denial. Many narcissists can be quite vain, believe themselves to be drop-dead gorgeous, very physically attractive, and they may well be. But the thought of losing those looks as they grow older can be difficult to come to terms with. And even in middle age, many narcissistic people can be quite touchy about their age. Some may even try to reverse the aging process. They may spend lots of money on anti-aging products, dye their hair, dress to try to look younger. Some may look for younger partners or have affairs with younger people. In middle age, it's not uncommon for narcissistic mothers to try to look more like their daughters. It can be quite an ego boost to hear things like, "You two look more like sisters." Some may even flirt with or try to seduce their daughter's boyfriends. Narcissistic fathers may demand a high level of respect due to their perceived seniority. See themselves as no longer just the head of the household, but the head of the family. Their wisdom, their experience is always of much more value than their grown-up children's. They may even try to outdo their sons, brag about they had achieved so much more by the time they were their age. Some may bask in the glory of their own children. Those children they may be held back, criticized, or sabotaged. They take credit for their achievements when they see them become successful in their own right, that others admire and respect and may claim things like, "That's all because of me." Now, if there are difficulties between them and their grown-up children, that adult child maybe has a partner and they are united as a couple, have good strong boundaries in place, the narcissist may try to bypass them and communicate directly with their grandchildren. Maybe even at a very young age they buy their grandchildren mobile phones so that they are contactable. They might buy them gifts, try to buy their love with things that perhaps the parents don't approve of. When the parents don't approve, they tend to look like the villain, which can be part of the narcissist's plan. Now, if their children's marriages break up, if they had a part in that breakup due to their constant interference, they may completely vilify the ex-partner, even try to alienate their grandchildren against that parent. That being said, there have been some cases where, following a breakup, they actually side with the ex-partner against their own child. They listen to them, they support them, and they advise them. But as they grow into old age, their fragile, false sense of self tends to become harder to maintain. Their strength begins to fail, their looks have faded, and they can't really do physically the things they used to be able to do. There's also less of a sex drive, so it can be even harder for them to try to fool themselves. Now, they may spend a lot of time reliving their glory days, trying to impress others with their past achievements, victories. Today's generation will never be capable of the things that they were able to do. Today's generation has it so much easier, they had to strive harder. Then there are those who, rather than grow wiser with age, can still be quite immature. For example, the temper tantrums are still there if they don't get their own way. Sometimes they can become more vitriolic, more vindictive, so they don't necessarily mellow with age. As the years goes on, it might manifest itself in them going on about how unfairly they believe they've been treated, how they have been victimized by everyone else. Their failed relationships, the times when their schemes backfired, the times they had to pay the consequences for their own actions. They may claim that they had to sacrifice their dreams for others, for example, their partners, their children, but no one appreciates it. They might feel a lot of bitterness towards their exes or anyone they believe has wronged them somehow. The more time they have on their hands, the more time they have to ruminate over things and become more resentful. I often think of narcissists as having a long memory. Narcissistic wounds from even decades ago can still feel as raw and as fresh today as they did back then. So they remember all the perceived wrongs that have been done to them, but maybe forget the times when they were selfish and hurtful to others. Some may even forget the vengeance they have already taken out on those people from years ago. Narcissistic people generally don't accept any responsibility for their behavior and hate being exposed for their actions. They will always see themselves as the victim, no matter how they have hurt or exploited others. So that destructive streak might still be present. The need to avenge themselves is still there, and this can be counterproductive because they may be behave in a way that might ultimately push away anyone they have left. Next, even as they age, they can still be coercive and manipulative, but maybe for different reasons. Now, if they're lonely, just want some company, or need some help with something, they might find it difficult to just ask, so instead maybe come up with different schemes to get what they want, even just what they need, which again can be counterproductive because sooner or later people might stop offering help or just become better at saying no. Now, some of that manipulation could include guilt tripping and shaming. You might say things like, "After all I've done for you," or "I haven't much longer to go," or "They let their parents live with them." There could even be threats. Threaten to write people out of their wills if they don't comply. "That's it, this is all going to your cousin," or "This is all going to the cat's home." Remember, their power and their influence is decreasing as the younger generations is increasing, and that doesn't always sit well. They may have had a lifetime to learn how to manipulate and coerce others just to keep some level of power. Next, and this would probably be more common with covert narcissists, but if they have had a history of maybe mysterious ailments and illnesses, that might crank up a gear. There could be continued visits to the doctor who is useless and can't diagnose anything. None of their medication works, none of the treatment works. They are incurable and in constant pain. That old war wound, that old sporting injury, that illness they had they never recovered, or that time their skull fell out, they are not long for this world. When they're with others, they may strain smiles to look as if they're hiding pain, even when their own grandchildren are excited to see them, just to show how brave they're being. You mustn't worry about them, they're going to manage somehow. Curious thing is, though, they tend to be able to manage their illnesses and their injuries just fine whenever they're taking part in something that they want to do or something they enjoy. But what we can see in narcissistic people who are in old age is a lifetime worth of destructive antagonistic behavior, which ultimately can become self-destructive. Their behavior over the years has pushed so many people away that they feel isolated, lonely. And sometimes there might be still a lot of arrogance, but a lot less confidence. As they become more frail, experience a loss of autonomy, they maybe have to rely on others for support, but in many cases their behavior has alienated them. Sometimes there's little, if anyone, to reach out to. Sometimes we may see what's known as a narcissistic collapse. They maybe get to the point when they realize that they are nothing, they have nothing, there's no one left, not even just for company. They may have a ton of money, but nothing of any value to those that they've hurt. All their lies, all their schemes have failed, and there is no one left to exploit. And they may become more desperate. And it's when they become more desperate that they may become more open to being exploited and being abused by others. Now, to answer the last question about what happens to those around the narcissist as they grow older, well, I think when they see that narcissistic person age, become more frail, I think it's quite common for them to feel maybe quite conflicted, even confused. They remember all the abuse they had to endure, remember how miserable that person made them feel, so may feel a lot of anger towards them. But they may also feel a sense of guilt. That person wasted all of their patience with their constant criticism, their lying, demanding more and more and giving nothing back. And yet, they feel pity for them. Now, even though there may not have been any contact for years, the pain might still be there, and there may be an urge to contact them again many years later, especially if perhaps they're critically ill. There may be a hope that maybe now, towards the end, the narcissist will have changed. They have nothing left to lie about, nothing to gain by being horrible. So maybe now is the chance to reconcile with each other. The narcissist might actually apologize, and they may get the closure they have so longed for. Now, I can't say whether they will or they won't, but some research suggests that narcissists can change for the better as they grow older. A study from 1992 found levels of narcissism decrease over time. A recent study suggests that narcissists become less narcissistic with time. I guess maybe sometimes it comes down to the individual. But I will add the research in the description of this video if you want to check it out. But some would suggest that when they have no one else to lie to or nothing to lie about, nothing to gain from lying, some may just be honest with themselves, acknowledge they have behaved dreadfully. They may feel a lot of regret, realizing that no one cares how lonely they are. Everyone in their life has seen what a horrible person they have been whenever they were younger. Just maybe they might be open to just a little bit of humility. So that's a brief outline of the aging narcissist. Now, as always, if there's anything I haven't mentioned, please feel free to use the comment box below. There are some interesting conversations started around these videos. But if you like this video, if you found it helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel. And until next time, thanks for watching.